kind of a redefinition of the way that we are using our space. It's a redefinition of the way that we're using our time, because if I were in class face to face, probably my tendency would have been, I'm just going to show a bunch of commercials that I found and then point out where all this stuff is, and they would nod and laugh. And I think it's a good time. And I'm just saying, but here we're putting the onus on them to show us either what they're creating or to bring their life to the class. I really liked the Super Bowl commercial, so I'm going to pin that, and then I'm going to ask some other people to make marks on that or something like that. Okay, next one, ThingLink. ThingLink's an absolutely awesome tool. ThingLink is something that I think was probably designed for businesses or I don't know, any type of like annotation that you would need to do on a map, for instance. I think ThingLink works well on. However, I think you could really hijack this thing for educational uses, and I've done that. I actually use this as kind of a mini LMS, which is part of another few videos that I've done. But as far as like an in-class formative online only assessment, you can let's just say like that my students are reading Julius Caesar. So here is a still of the London Shakespeare Globe Theatre doing Julius Caesar. Okay, and what I could do is I could give these out, or I could have them find their own. You have to find a still of a character from Julius Caesar at a particular point that we read, say today. Like we read this today, you were supposed to do this for homework. Find a still of a character performing that. Okay, and they could even just do it on YouTube. Find a YouTube, watch the YouTube video of this particular scene and pause it, and then print screen, put it up on ThingLink, and then what you can do is you add a tag, right? You drag this tag over here, and then you can add all this stuff, right? You can add text, and what I'm going to say is here I'm going to put a heart and a red heart, and then like based on his facial expression, I might be able to say something like passionate. I'm just going to put that really quickly so that you can see, and put that right here. Okay, and now when I hover, when they do this and send it in, as I hover over this and click on it, I get like a physical point here, but then because this heart's on it, I can click on that and see the notes that they wrote on it. Now I would never just have them write passionate, and in fact, I'd probably have them describe the exact face, why they think that, what is this actor doing that fits in with the text, and then maybe even 3 quotes from the play that lead them to believe that this is the correct face that this guy's making. Or maybe lead them to believe that this should have been played differently. They don't think he's this hubristic, or they think that he is being disingenuous or something like that. This is a mock serious face or something like that, right? Like they can annotate this, and they can all do this individually, or they can do it together. And then as they submit these things, you can give them formative assessment on what you believe, what they wrote. Okay, so they're doing something, they're doing this, they're creating, and then you are giving them feedback to help them, I suppose, improve, I guess would be one way to put it, but to kind of consolidate or synthesize what they're thinking so that they can move on and use it as they move forward. So again, you might have them do something where they do 10 tags or 5 tags. And another cool thing about this is that there are all sorts of, you can actually have them do a 3D video or a 3D VR image of this, which is just awesome. So if your class maybe has Google Cardboard, or they all have phones, I would imagine they all have phones, you can actually use your phone to create a 3D, like a 360 image, and then they can annotate that 360 image, and people can look at it in their Google Cardboard or just on their phones, and then you like tap on the different spots where they've annotated. So you could have them do like an actual Globe Theater itself, and point out like where the groundlings would have been and why this was important, where this shows up in the play, and like really, really annotate this thing, and demonstrate some understanding or demonstrate some creativity, but to show you in an online only format, in a way that wouldn't happen in the classroom, exactly how they get what it is you're trying for them to get, why they get it, and then to demonstrate that. So I would suggest that ThingLink is just like a great opportunity for this. Um, and another possibility here is using your LMS. We use on campus at my school, but as you go through online, I think it's important if you're going to have them read at home, to give them, for instance, like reading questions that you might want to make sure that they understand by the time. Now, this is lower level stuff. I'm not suggesting that this is like write an essay every night. And I say you don't have to write this out, but just know that whatever the activity is when we're face to face, or whatever the activity is when we're remote, that it will surround these lower level, or at least bottom three, sort of like remember, understand, analyze is kind of what I'm talking about. And it also is a useful tool for reading comprehension, because as they're reading, if you order the questions temporally, if they find what they think to be the answer uh, of number one, and they find what they think to be the answer of number three, they know that the answer to number two is somewhere in between. Okay, and I know you're kind of saying, well, but they're just going to get the answers from each other or whatever. I would ask you to watch the hypothesis video that's up, but essentially what you would do is just go to something like Project Gutenberg, find a translation of, let's just say, the story you're having them read. So do this one, and we're going to do the HTML. They're going to read this thing, okay, and turn on hypothesis here, and then they're going to have to like actually annotate specifically the part that answers the question, right? They're going to annotate it and then write down the answer to the question based on what they found. You have to get one of those from everybody. You would be able to see what everybody did, and there would be no cheating, because you would just see like if they copied off each other. It's just easy to tell. So you might assign groups different numbers, or you might assign them all 1 through 6, something like that. But I think it's a pretty good idea in all cases to make sure that you have that available so that they know what you're looking for when they get to class next time. It's another way to provide predictability and support for the student, as they themselves are probably feeling a little weird. Okay, and then the last one I want to talk about here is that I think it's really easy to get into silos, and I've sort of implied that throughout the video, but it's really easy to get into silos about like, is this school or is this not school? Is this formative or is it summative? Is this rigorous or is it easy? Like these are things that we just think about so often. And I think as teachers, like we have decided, we've drawn a hard line on like what's educational and what isn't educational. So books are educational. Every time you have a book, it's educational. And every time you're not reading a book, it's not educational. Okay. So if you are reading a book in the library, that is awesome. If you are on your phone in the library, not good. You're not present. You're not present. You're not present. You are disrespecting your community and people. You're not present. But I'm here to tell you, everyone, that reading a book requires you to be more present in that fictional space than it does for you to be in the world that you're in. It requires a greater degree of concentration, and it requires a greater ability to divorce yourself from reality than being on a phone. Okay, I don't think books are worse. I prefer books. I'm an English teacher, but I'm not going to say for any. I'm not going to. I will not. Absolutely will not countenance the fact that someone that's walking down the hall reading a book and bumping into people is present because he's reading a book. That is because we have governed books as part of education every time. Okay, so if a kid walking to the bathroom at my school and he's reading a book that has nothing to do with the curriculum, he's reading a book for fun, we would say, great job, Jack, awesome stuff. Keep reading that book, man. Keep reading that book. Great job. He's on his phone on the way to the bathroom. We take the phone. We give him a detention. Okay. Now, the book or the phone, he might have been doing something great on the phone. He might have been reading something bad in the book. Okay. It's just because it's a book doesn't make it good. And in fact, books weren't always a thing. And if you think about maybe like the beginning of Beauty and the Beast, it's like my daughter's favorite movie. the whole town, there's a whole song about it. They're just lambasting Belle because she's reading too much. She's got her head in a book. She is not doing anything practical. She is not helping out in the town, and she's wasting her life. And this is the same thing we say to kids that are playing video games, and the same thing we say to kids that are doing something collaboratively on their phone. Okay, so you got to get creative with this stuff and don't really necessarily think about like, is this an online application that was designed for education? Or am I asking them to do something that was designed for education? You take it and design it for education. You take the thing that you recognize and design that for education. So a good example here would be like, there's this game on the phone that I like, and it's called Reigns, and I use this with Macbeth. So the idea in Reigns is that you're the king, and they give you a name, and then they just show you these cards, okay, and you make these decisions. You just swipe left for yes, and you swipe right for no, and these issues will come up from different groups, and they will ask you, should you say yes to this or no? And that's all you have to do. And as you do that, it affects different scores in religion, population, military, and money. Okay. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to balance these as you swipe left and swipe right. And what you quickly recognize is that the idea of being king is fun, but being king itself is maybe not as fun. Okay, because once you're on the throne, you're kind of in the hot seat, and the only thing you can do once you get on the throne is to lose the throne. It's something that Macbeth doesn't really think about. Macbeth is like, he hears the prophecy that he will be king. There is no prophecy about how long he'll be king. There is no prophecy about whether he'll enjoy being king or whether he will be successful at all. So the second that he becomes king, that prophecy's been fulfilled, and now it's about protecting himself. Okay, and so this whole game, while it's meant to be fun, after a couple minutes, it becomes pretty stressful, and you're trying to balance these different things. You look at these different meters and realize, oh my God, the military's about to overthrow me. I better do some things to sort of appease them. But that made the church mad, and now they're about to burn me at the stakes, and I have to do some things to appease them. But when I did that, that cost a bunch of money, and now I'm in trouble. Okay, and so these games are really short, and it's meant to be like, you don't beat the game. You just, maybe you reign for 10 years or something, and then your character is killed one way or another, and then it gives you another king and you start again. But have, like, ask the kids, for instance, to play this game during a Macbeth unit for homework. It's 99 cents on iOS on the App Store, and like, we're asking them already to buy $20 books sometimes. So you have to pay 99 cents for this, and you have to play this, and you have to chart what happened, and then at the end, when you're finished playing the game, you need to tell me like what, you're gonna write a little bit about where that connects to Macbeth, or um, I'm gonna ask you a specific question about Macbeth, or maybe just throw a line out there from Macbeth, or a speech, or a monologue, or whatever, and you have to translate that monologue through your play of Reigns. Okay? There's no way to cheat on that. There is no way to cheat on that, because everybody that does this has a different experience, and these cards are largely at random. There's no way to even tell someone else how to beat the game, because sometimes the way the cards are stacked, there's just no way to win. Like, you're essentially you're destined to lose from the time that you start the game. So if everybody's playing this, and then they have to use their exact experience. The problem with this is that this was not necessarily designed to augment learning in the classroom. And so a lot of times as teachers, we subconsciously just turn away from that. Like, that wasn't meant for exactly what I'm doing. But what we have to understand is that learning in the classroom is part of real life. Okay, what is happening in the classroom is real. It is happening now. It is not like a confessional in the real world, or something where you're leaving the real world for a second to come into this box for a little bit, and then you're going to go back out. Like, no, 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 this is happening now, and we need to do a better job of making sure that we're using our world, and actual things in the world, to make those connections between in classroom activities and out of classroom behavior, recognition, creativity, etc. Okay, I mean, I just love when I hear a student come back in